Chapter 27, Family, Social, Cultural, and Religious Influences on Child Health Promotion. Your objectives for this chapter are to discuss definitions of family, discuss role transition experienced by new parents, describe the subcultural influences on child development in the areas of socioeconomic class, poverty, religion, and schools, identify areas of potential conflict of values and customs for a nurse interacting with a family from a different cultural or ethnic group. Family is what the individual considers a family to be. Consanguineous is a blood relationship. Affinal is a marital relationship. The family of origin is the family unit you were born into, and the definition has broadened to reflect structural and functional society changes. Family systems theory, family stress theory, and developmental theory can be seen in Chapter 27 on 703. It's Table 27.1. The family systems theory is the one you're probably going to hear about the most. When working with children, the nurse must include the family in the plan of care. Research tells us that parents desire and expect to participate. If you look on page 704, box 27.1, you'll see more about that. Family assessment is discussed in more detail in Chapter 29. So you can read about all of these different family structures, which I think we've already touched on in other chapters, on pages 704 through 706, and again it will be reiterated when you do community health as well. Quality time spent with family is essential to a child's health and well-being. Children benefit from spending time with their parents and grandparents. Interaction is essential in a child's life from infancy through adolescence. And we can't get that back if we miss those informative years and the first few years of their life. You can't go back and see them walk for the first time or learn to try different foods. It's important that we participate in their lives. Family function refers to interactions of family members, especially the quality of those relationships and interactions. Family strengths and unique functioning styles are significant resources that nurses can use to meet family needs. Building on qualities that make a family work well together and strengthening family resources make a family unit even stronger. All families have strengths and weaknesses. Parenting styles. Children respond to their environment in a variety of ways, and every parent has their own way of raising their children. Many of us use the same styles that our parents used with us. Discipline means to teach or refers to a set of rules governing conduct. Not sure what society feels about this anymore. It's changed so much. Limit setting refers to establishing the rules and guidelines for behavior. Unrestricted freedom is a threat to a child's safety and security. They like to have rules and regulations to follow. See page 708 for the family-centered care box. It's an important box for you to read. Types of discipline can be anything from reasoning with the child to timeout to spanking them. Reasoning explains why their behavior was wrong and how you're going to correct it. If the child is too young to understand, then you're wasting your time. Positive and negative reinforcement is based on behavioral modification. Some people use a token system where the child earns or loses tokens and then can exchange them at the end of the week for things that they want. Timeout works for some, and corporal punishment is said to cause physical and psychological damage to the child. I was spanked and I spanked my children. I guess that's probably why we're all messed up. Parenting the adopted child. Adoption establishes a legal relationship between the child and the parents. This gives the adoptive parents the same rights and obligations to the child as the birth parents would have had. Then parenting the adoptive child depends on issues of origin, their adolescence period, cross-racial and international adoptions, LGBTQ, whatever. Issues of origin, again, I don't know why that's on there a second time. Oh, and adolescence. Oh well, my bad, sorry. This is a pair of children who are not blood kin, but they look a lot alike. The one on the right, the younger one, was adopted. Adoption attorneys and agencies try to find children that match the family adopting, but other families simply do not care, and they just want a child and they don't care what it looks like. So, parenting and divorce, see box 27.4, page 711, the divorce process, and page 712 for box 27.5, feelings and behaviors of children related to divorce. The impact of divorce on children depend on the age of the child and the sex of the child. Most parents try to hide the divorce from the children, but they know something's not right. The fighting and the door slamming, screaming, dad sleeping on the couch again. Custody, if not agreed upon, will be left to the courts. The judge no longer always gives custody to the mother. Every circumstance will be considered for the welfare of the child or children, and it may not always be what the child wants. In the state of Florida, I found out a few years ago through personal experience that children over the age of 12 can choose which parent they want to live with, but of course the judge would have to agree to that. Fathers who assume care of their children may feel more comfortable and successful in their parenting role. Participating in the care of your child is very rewarding. There's not a better feeling in the world than to come home to a little smiling face that runs to meet you with open arms, wanting a hug. That really makes you smile, especially if you've had a bad day. Special parenting situations might include single fathers, reconstituted families, parenting and dual earner families, working mothers, kinship care, and fostering parenting. When a child enters school, their radius of relationship, the nurse must strive to understand social, cultural, and religious influences. The surrounding environment has a big influence on the child. So when a child enters school, their radius of relationships widens to include peers and a new source of authority. Peer groups have a great impact on the child. Peers will influence them and teach them things you did not even know they were aware of. So know your children's friends. Social roles are cultural creations. Therefore, the culture prescribes patterns of behavior for people in a variety of social situations. In many cases, people are raised in co-cultures or subcultures. Most are formed from people clustering and intermarrying culturally. Communities can be a good influence or a bad influence on your child. Violence and poverty is everywhere nowadays, especially in the inner cities. Please see page 715 through 716 for more information on this. Race is a term that groups together people by their outward physical appearance. Ethnicity is a classification aimed by grouping individuals who consider themselves or are considered by others to share common characteristics that differentiate them from the other collectives in a society, and from which they develop their distinctive cultural behaviors. Social class is the family's economic and educational levels and their ability to access resources needed to thrive in their daily lives. Poverty in the United States is a family that's living below the level of $23,550 for 2 adults and 2 children, and that's per year. More than 25% of children in the U.S. are receiving supplements like welfare or food stamps. The United States has more ethnic and racial diversity than any other country in the world. Since 2018, there has been no one racial or ethnic group that is considered a majority of population in this country. The family's religious orientation dictates a code of behavior and influences the family's attitudes towards education, male and female role identity, and their ultimate destiny. Religion may also influence the school the child attends. Religious and spiritual dimensions are among the most important influences in many people's lives. 50 years of research has proven that the media is a powerful influence on people. Children in the U.S. spend approximately 7 hours a day in front of some form of media, like computers, iPads, television, video games, and smartphones. They've kind of become this century's babysitters. Meeting the needs of children and family from a variety of backgrounds requires fluidity in understanding the many layers of influence within a family and understanding that a child and a family must be understood contextually. Cultural competence does spur reflection upon elements of society that perpetuate society inequity or injustices, such as racism, ageism, and homophobia. If you don't know what ageism is, when you get to be my age, you will know what it means. Children from a variety of culture and ethnic backgrounds begin to socialize in the child care setting. I love this picture, and I love to look at these students' faces and wonder what they're doing and what they're thinking. I think the child in the far right-hand corner is texting, it looks like. The little girl next to that one is looking at that one with her hand up like, would she just shut up? Why has she always got her hand up? The teacher's just thrilled that she's asking a question. And I'm not sure. I think the little boy behind the girl with her hand up is just crazy about the teacher. I don't know. I love trying to figure that out. Health beliefs. Certain cultures believe that hot and cold things can make a difference and a direct influence on your health. Then you have some cultures who believe in the evil eye and practice voodoo and witchcraft, or that evil spirits may be in other people. And these things could actually be practiced in different cultures. If you look on page 721, box 27.9, you'll see more about this. And you may see questions regarding some of these things in your test, quizzes, or on NCLEX. Religion and spirituality and religious beliefs, for example, hypospadias. I know y'all all remember what hypospadias is from OB class. Hypospadias is more common in Jewish and Italian boys. However, many religions and cultures believe that repairing it leads to gender confusion and altering of sex organs. Illness is culturally constructed. An individual's culture influences how a sickness is perceived, labeled, and explained. Culture also influences the meaning assigned to an illness, the role the individual with the sickness adopts, and the response of the community and family to that sickness. And your question for this chapter says a frequent health problem of migrant children and adolescents in the United States is A, suicide, B, diabetes, C, tuberculosis, or D, cardiovascular disease. And in case you didn't know, the correct answer is C. The rate of tuberculosis among migrant families is very high. A high risk factor for the children of migrant families is the migration of the families from areas that have high prevalence of tuberculosis. And this concludes this PowerPoint session. Thank you.